brothers and sisters, we have to deal with the concept of zero in this evening address. It is too abstract a subject to be dealt with in a public lecture. But here, almost all the people who gather have gathered voluntarily, and we don't mind noticing the subject sometimes too abstract, and that's the only consideration which made me accept and get prepared for this lecture. Otherwise, if we begin to speak of this subject on an ordinary platform, everything will be strange, and there will be no communication between the speaker and the listener. But yesterday we have seen that there was good communication. The subject of yesterday was also equally abstract, if not a little bit more. So I am confident that we can have at least a rough idea of the concepts of zero among the ancients. We have a concept of zero now in the present age, but more often we have no concept of what is our concept about zero, because almost every one of us will take it for granted that we know something about zero. But if we actually face the problem, we understand that it is absolutely zero that we know. This is what is called the example of negative zero. When two people talk about a subject and when one of them says absolutely zero to indicate a kind of negation or nothingness, then the concept is about negative zero. We only mean to point out this evening that there is also a positive zero in the mind of the mathematicians. We have ancient mathematicians of all nations, of whom I know more about the ancient Eastern mathematicians. Aryabhat was one mysterious mathematician of ancient India who discussed about the occult nature of number 9 and who has given us many surprising experiments with number 9. So, as a result of which the so-called magicians, traditional magicians of India, they often stun the minds of the most intelligent people by applying the principles of Aryabhat in their calculation. For example, they ask you to note down a number which you want and then add to it any number which you like and multiply it with any number you like, and then they will give you only one number to multiply the whole thing, and then they will ask you to show the answer. When they show you the answer, they will take the chair on which you are sitting and they will show you the bottom where the answer is already there. Like this, they conduct many experiments only by applying one principle given by Aryabhat. He revealed for the first time that any number multiplied by 9 gives a number the total of the digits of which is 9. You multiply 12 with 9, you have 108. Add all the digits, you get only 9. And then Aryabhat spoke of the occultism of this quality of number 9. He called it the end of things. The numerical potency of number 9 was occultly called by him as the end of things. And then he has shown how the wars and destructions are associated with number 9, and big upheavals like earthquakes and catastrophes, how they are associated with number 9. You can call it a branch of numerology, but he has given many experiments with that. He was also an astronomer and an astrologer, and he has developed a special branch of calculus which is highly interesting. He has given us the relationship of a cube with a bigger cube of any magnitude, and the method of calculating the number of cubes required to fill the cube without requiring a paper and a pencil, so that a fellow who wants to use bricks to build a wall uses this method and has a rough calculation of the number of bricks he requires. There was another mathematician in ancient India called Varahamihira, who was also an astronomer and an astrologer, and who has written a book of the 5 ancient systems of astronomy. He has inaugurated a branch of arithmetic which is called the system of 1/9. Just as we have the decimal system, he invented a system called system of 1/9. He called it in Sanskrit Navamsha system. Nava means 9 in Sanskrit. Navamsha means 1/9. He has proved that all the 9 numbers are of 3 different categories. 2, 4 and 8 belong to one category. 1, 5 and 7 belong to another category. 3, 6, 9 belong to a third category. The same thing Pythagoras also has given, and the scientist called the first row of numbers as egos, that is the permanent numbers of permanent atoms, because they cannot be divided and they cannot be factorized. And the second group of numbers, he called it the linear numbers. These numbers, he said, will deal with areas and volumes. The third group of numbers he called numbers of rotation or circular numbers. And he has proved for the first time that only these numbers can give us an exact calculation of a circular measure. that is the angles, degrees, minutes, etc. That's the reason why we have 360 as a multiple of the square of number 6. Why the degrees at a point are 360? Why they cannot be 100 or 10? Why can't we have the metric system for the degrees also? For example, 100 degrees total and 10 minutes a degree, 10 seconds a minute. Why can't we have like this? And he has proved why it cannot be done. And to have a circular measure of degrees and angles, he has invented a system called the system of 19, which system only divides the circular calculations without any recurring decimals. And like this, we have peculiar mathematicians of the ancient days. And there are mathematicians even whose names we do not know. They have given us the concepts of zero in their works. They have given one zero called Purnam. The word Purnam means fullness. And another name for zero called Shunyam, meaning emptiness. So they had two concepts of zero. You find calculations applied with Purnam and applied with Shunyam, but it is a bit difficult to understand the difference. Before we understand the structure of the 6 keys of the ancients, let us remember that the concept of zero is inseparable from the concept of circle. From the ancient days till today, there are many thousands of languages of many categories that are used by man, and in all the languages you find that the zero is represented either by the circle or its center. In some languages it was represented like this, just as we use it in the Roman script today. And in some languages he used only dots. For example, if he wanted to write 1000, he used it like that. And as far as my knowledge goes, there is no third symbol used to denote zero. If any one of you know, please tell me, I will note down and study. Circle with indicating zero. Even then it is the circle and the 1. Yes, meaning one circle. Yes, that is 1 0. Now let us try to understand how our mind responds to the concept of zero. That is the fullness, the concept of fullness and the concept of stillness, the positive and negative aspect. It responds simultaneously to both the concepts because the mind is a bit confused about the two concepts. We say there is nothing in that book. We say that there is absolutely zero in that book. We mean the same thing. But when we say there is nothing in that book, we are negating. If we say that there is absolute zero in that book, we are positing. There is zero means to posit that there is something called zero. There is nothing means to negate that there is something there. See, we use the two terms to denote the same thing. For example, if you ask, what is there above? He says, it is nothing, there is nothing there. And at the same time he says, it is only empty space. The first sentence gives his idea of negating something. Because he said, there is nothing there. But the second sentence gives his idea of positing something there. He says, after all, empty space. He accepts that there is space. He also accepts that there is nothing. Does his concept of nothing indicate something or not? We should just carefully observe the mind, how it is responding to space. Space is at the same time something to the mind and nothing to the mind. It's a big confusion, not only to ourselves, but also to science professors sometimes. Because we find a scientific term ruling the minds of the scientists for more than 2 centuries till now. The word vacuum. What does that mean? Does that mean that there is something there or not? The science professor, when he uses it, he means that there is nothing there. Because the air is also exhausted from that space. He is sure that everything is emptied from that space, and then only he calls it vacuum. Think of it. Is there really a vacuum in space? Is it possible? You can have air-free or gas-free space. You cannot have all empty and all free space. Because if you charge it with an electromagnetic charge, what happens? Is there communication through vacuum or not? Are we to accept that there is a medium or not? If our mind refuses to accept that there is a medium in it, through what the electromagnetic charge is passing, you have to accept a medium which is rarer and rarer than the rarest of the gases. You have no other go except accepting the existence of another medium which is finer than the finest of the gases. Then our concept of vacuum is, excuse me, foolish. Sometimes the science professor calls perfect vacuum. Where does it exist? It exists in the mind of the professor, not there outside. Still there are science professors, even today in 1983, who are foolish to believe that vacuum exists. Calculations are going on at a high speed, taking for granted the perfect vacuum. One of the mysteries of nature is that it allows everyone to live in his own fool's paradise. The materialist lives in his own world of materialism. The metaphysicist lives in his own field of metaphysics. The politician lives in his own political field. The religious fellow lives in his own field of religion. Everyone trying to work out truth through his own way of doing things. The most deceptive aspect of nature is, nature never disappoints any one of these fellows, and everyone has a grain of truth with him. But unfortunately, every one of us carry only a splinter of truth. The glass of truth is broken to splinters, and each carry one splinter. No doubt it is there, but it no more serves the purpose of a container. When truth is broken into splinters, a splinter can never serve the purpose of a container of truth. That is our fate in nature when we are pursuing the study of nature. Nature allows every one of us to work out truth in his own way. Not only that, it serves his purpose of truth in his life, and it exists as truth to him, and it becomes his truth, and he dies with that splinter of truth. That's why the theory of everyone in this world has a grain of truth. We should get at the art of correlating things.